This is the Solid Signal podcast for the week of November 13th, 2023. First, a little bit of housekeeping. I would like to point out that during the week that I said that the writers should settle their strike, they settled their strike. And last week, I devoted an entire podcast to how the actors should settle their strike and how that needs to move on before the entire industry gets destroyed. And what happened? The actors settled their strike. Now, I'm not saying that I have that kind of power in the industry, but on the other hand, it's beginning to look like it, isn't it? Seriously, though. This week, we're talking about business. We're talking about satellite TV for business specifically, and why you can think a little bit differently in business than you do at home and get exactly what you want. The real subject is headends. What's a head end? A lot of people don't understand what this means. The original term head end, by the way, comes from the world of trains. It's where all the trains come together in a relatively small area and then they go back out to wherever they need to go. And how that translates out to television, I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of is a term that has evolved to the point where its original meaning is totally lost and we just use it as a word. A head end, when you talk to satellite television, is where all of these satellite lines come into one place, and then through the miracle of modern technology and a bunch of different boxes, it goes out over a single cable that can be distributed very easily to multiple televisions. So this is a really cool thing. And head ends traditionally have been used in hotels. You see them a lot. Travel, if you want, to a hotel, and you'll find that there are probably 15, 20 channels of live television there. And what you'll get is, just the ones that you really want. And they're all stacked up. So like channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5. There's no gaps in between. But did you know you can bring the same kind of technology to your business, any kind of business, and it might actually be cheaper than doing what you're doing right now for live television? And in order to do that, we need to talk first about why your business might want live television in the first place. Okay, so not every business is going to want live television. There are going to be some people who think, okay, well, it just doesn't make any sense. Live television always makes sense in a business because it saves one of your precious resources for where it's really needed. Your internet connection is probably the most valuable asset you have, other than perhaps your people. And I know that we always say people are the most valuable asset, but then I want to treat people as individuals and not necessarily as things. So putting that aside, and I'm getting off topic, your internet connection is super important. It's how you connect with your customers. It's how you connect to the entire world. And if you need a better internet connection, you should definitely call us at 888-233-7563. But that's not the topic of this podcast. I'm wandering off topic. I guess it's Monday and, maybe I've had a little bit too much coffee. I don't know what to tell you there. Anyway, let's get back to it. By using a live television service like DirecTV, you save that bandwidth. You put live TV in the lunchroom, live TV in the break room. Sometimes live TV in the warehouse will help people if they want to come in on the weekends. It's a great way to incentivize them to do that, especially if you have the football package and they don't have the football package at home. You can make them come in and give them something a little bit interesting to watch at the same time. But doing that, you have to ask yourself, well, how do we do it and how's the most economical way to do it? If you're looking at maybe one or two TVs, well, obviously just having plain old satellite service is the way to go. But once you get that one or two, you may realize that you need a lot more than that. Now, you may own a sports bar or a restaurant, and you want like 25 different TVs, and that's how that is. That's how that business works. But you may not realize, as other kinds of business, just how many TVs you want to have and just where you want to put them. You can put TVs in public spaces. You can put them in private spaces. It's completely up to you. There's plans that are available for both. And when you get to the point where you've got more than 10 or 15 televisions, you really should be looking at a head-end system. A head-end system really simplifies everything. If you've got 15 televisions and you're trying to put a satellite receiver behind each one, well, first of all, the cabling can be a problem. The distance between them can be a problem. The logistics of it. And you're paying for 15 different televisions, which is 15 different receivers. That's a lot of money up front. And monthly, you're paying a reasonable amount of money as well. And that's where a head end kind of comes in. The neat thing about a head end is that you get just the channels that you want. You don't have to pay for channels that you don't want. If you basically want to say, okay, well, I want the major news channels, I want the weather channels, and I want the sports channels, well, okay, you get a package of 20 channels that is really customized to you, and you're essentially paying per channel as opposed to paying for channels that you do not want. It's easier to distribute from place to place. You can just do it with plain old regular cable. You don't have to have special amplifiers or special satellite cable for it. It's a lot easier. Yes, you do want to use televisions that support the Pro Idiom encryption system, but these televisions aren't any more expensive than reasonable quality televisions that you get at Costco or Sam's Club. You just have to plan ahead to get them. Because if you do get a TV at Costco or Sam's Club, you're going to need to put an adapter on it that's going to kind of mess with the economics of the entire thing. A head-end system just makes a surprising amount of sense. And you know what makes the most sense is what's called a compact head-end. Now, if you have like 25 channels of satellite television in the regular way, well, that's going to take 25 receivers, and what you're going to end up with is a rack full of equipment that's about the size of a small closet, about the size of a coat closet. That's a lot for a business to manage. And it's been one of the things that has stopped people from getting head-end systems in the past. It's a lot to think about. But what if there were a system that were about the size of your average office laser printer, and that's it? You know, that's all it took. Everything went in there, and there's basically that and a little bit of equipment, just enough to fit on a single shelf, and that's all you need. That's the COM3000 system from DirecTV. It's really, really cool because it takes all of this stuff. You can have up to 160 channels in one compact chassis. So you can start with 25 and you can just keep upgrading, upgrading, and upgrading, and you won't need to even expand the amount of stuff you have until you get to the point that you're at like 165 channels. So you're not going to have to worry about, oh, well, this is taking up more space than I expected. It's just a neat system when you get something like this. It's custom designed to your specifications, built and tested in a laboratory, and then ships to you ready for you or an installer to put in very quickly, very simply, and you'll find that you have television going same day that you get the installation, same day that everything shows up. It's easy. Of course, the thing that really makes it easy is working with the right folks. And I hope that I have given you something to think about in this podcast. I rambled around and I talked about a bunch of different things, just like I always do. But if you're interested in a solution for live television that involves real customer service, if you're interested in talking to somebody who will help you decide what you're looking for, who will make things easy for you, and who will be with you every step of the way, well, then of course you want to be working with Signal Connect. You want to be calling 888-233-7563 and talking to the experts during East Coast business hours. Or if you're listening to this podcast in the middle of the night, go to signalconnect.com, fill out the form on the front page, and somebody will get back to you when it's light out, which is totally cool too. It's, that's how we work. Once you get connected with somebody, a lot of times you'll be able to get 24-hour support. We do our best jobs during the day, but we have support options available all day, all night, 7 days a week for our customers. You are not going to be alone in this. We can help you manage the account. We can help you choose the right equipment. Find somebody local to put it in if you're not the person to do that for yourself. And finally, we can make sure that everything is going smooth every single month. Give us a try. Signalconnect.com, we are here to take care of you. We believe in old-fashioned customer service, which is not something that everybody talks about today. And I wish they did. Trust me, I really wish they did. But that's what we are all about at signalconnect.com. Signalconnect.com is the sponsor of this podcast, by the way, and they also pay my paycheck, and I am sincerely appreciative of that. So give it a try. If you like this podcast especially, there's an opportunity for you to make sure you're subsidizing the podcast. I don't have a Patreon or any of those other ways of supporting a podcast, and this is just a way that you can make sure this podcast continues on and on and on, just like it has for the last 10 years. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to end the podcast and just say, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and leave a comment anywhere you get this podcast. Makes me look good to my boss. And I will see you next time on another edition of the Solid Signal Podcast.